Have I ever been in a situation surrounded by smiles, yet sensed an underlying discord, as if someone's words of congratulations concealed a subtle wish for my failure? Indeed, envy and insincerity seldom announce themselves openly. They often adopt amiable appearances and employ pleasant language, and if I'm not attentive, I might overlook them entirely. That constitutes the unsettling reality. The most perilous individuals aren't the overtly hostile critics, but the silent actors feigning support while secretly anticipating my downfall. Consider receiving a promotion. I'm elated, yet amidst the celebratory chorus, I notice that one associate whose smile seems slightly forced. The applause sounds authentic, but the underlying atmosphere, it feels off. My instincts are not deceiving me, and if Stoicism has imparted any lesson, it is this: trust reason above mere noise. In today's presentation, I will unveil 10 potent Stoic strategies for identifying envy and deceit before they compromise my peace. These aren't abstract notions. They are enduring tools designed to help safeguard my mind, relationships, and personal energy. If I am prepared to cultivate a life surrounded by authenticity rather than hidden motives, I should select the subscribe option, activate the notification bell, and leave a comment stating, "I'm ready for clarity." Let us begin this exploration. Number 1. Observe their actions. A fundamental principle within Stoic philosophy is this: place trust not in words, but in actions. Words are facile. Anyone can utter the appropriate phrase, particularly those with ulterior motives. But actions possess an inherent truthfulness. They expose the reality individuals attempt to conceal behind flattery, charm, or meticulously selected expressions. A Stoic individual isn't swayed by mere performance. They observe with patience, awaiting that quiet instance where behavior diverges from stated promises. That is the moment the facade falters. This lesson transcends philosophical abstraction. It offers practical protection. The individuals harboring the most envy often exert the greatest effort in feigning support. They will applaud my successes, yet their eyes betray their true feelings. They will offer public praise while covertly sowing seeds of doubt behind my back. They refrain from overt sabotage. Instead, they simply fail to be present. They vanish when support is needed, impede progress, or withhold assistance during critical moments. Stoicism teaches us to respond not with bitterness, but with clarity. Marcus Aurelius stated, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." I shouldn't fixate on people's self-portrayals. I should observe their conduct. This principle not only aids in perceiving others more accurately, but also compels greater self-honesty. If consistency is expected from others, it must be embodied personally. The truth of someone's character is revealed when external observation is absent. Do they honor their commitments? Are they present when personal gain is not a factor? Therein lies integrity. And that is what a Stoic learns to prioritize. Not pronouncements, but evidence. In a world replete with performers, my peace hinges upon the ability to discern authenticity. Trust actions. They invariably convey the truth. Number 2. Evaluate their response to your success. In daily existence, few occurrences unveil an individual's true character more lucidly than their reaction to my achievements. Expressing goodwill when nothing significant is involved is simple. But when I begin to ascend, when diligent effort starts yielding results, that's when disguises tend to slip. Jealousy possesses a tendency to permeate even the most polished rhetoric. I'll detect it in subtle evasions, passive-aggressive commentary, the manner in which certain individuals abruptly fall silent when the spotlight shifts to me. A Stoic doesn't seek validation through applause. They pay attention to the quietude, the tension simmering beneath forced felicitations. Some individuals experience profound discomfort witnessing others' success because it serves as a reminder of their own inaction, or worse, their avoidance. My progress becomes their reflective surface. And rather than utilizing that reflection for motivation, they opt for resentment. It isn't always overt. Jealousy can manifest as insincere compliments or dismissive remarks veiled as concern. It might sound like, "Well, anyone could have achieved that," or "You simply got fortunate." And if I lack grounding, if I fail to grasp the Stoic principle of concentrating solely on elements within my control, their words can erode my confidence. The Stoics didn't invest time dissecting others' motives. Marcus Aurelius taught the importance of observation over obsession. People reveal their true nature not through declarations, but through behavior. When I am no longer struggling, a wise individual learns to interpret these behaviors not as personal affronts, but as indicators. Indicators guiding where trust should be placed. Indicators identifying who deserves inclusion in my inner circle. So what is the appropriate course when envy surfaces within my connections? I don't engage it directly. I don't nurture it. I observe it. I accept its presence and adjust my interactions accordingly. I protect my energy not through confrontation, but through clarity. Genuine allies will celebrate my growth without succumbing to insecurity. As for the rest, I let them go, not motivated by spite, but by self-respect. Stoicism teaches that while controlling others' emotions is beyond my power, controlling who I permit into my life remains within my purview. Ultimately, my success represents more than a mere milestone. It functions as a litmus test. It reveals more than just effort and progress. It shows who walks alongside me supportively and who secretly hopes for my stumble. I must choose my company judiciously. Let my circle mirror my peace, not their envy. Number 3. Notice how they interact with those who can't benefit them. One of the most insightful assessments of character, according to Stoic philosophy, involves observing how an individual treats those perceived as having nothing tangible to offer in return. Genuine respect doesn't fluctuate based on power dynamics or social standing. A person of noble character doesn't reserve courtesy solely for the influential or successful. They extend it universally, particularly towards those often overlooked or lacking power. The Stoics believed every human possesses inherent worth, irrespective of their occupation, title, wealth, or influence. And the manner in which we treat those perceived as below us, if such a hierarchical view is even entertained, speaks more profoundly about our own character than any public accolade ever could. Behaving respectfully when under observation is straightforward. Offering smiles to superiors or flattering individuals who can facilitate opportunities comes easily, but the true measure occurs during quiet, unacknowledged moments. I once observed a client at a corporate function engaging with the CEO using effusive charm. Minutes later, however, this same individual snapped irritably at a young intern who accidentally spilled coffee. That stark contrast wasn't merely disturbing, it exposed something fundamental. This person respected power, not people. And such character, as the Stoics would assert, lacks substance. Jealous and deceitful individuals frequently engage in this dichotomy. They present warmth and welcome when advantageous, but the instant they interact with someone deemed inferior, the facade crumbles. They become dismissive, impolite, or simply indifferent. Stoicism cautions us to heed these subtle behavioral shifts because the treatment of the powerless reveals underlying truth. These individuals don't value dignity, they value advantage. And through close observation, I will begin noticing this behavior more frequently than perhaps comfortable. This principle, however, isn't solely about evaluating others, it applies inwardly as well. The Stoic path requires turning this critical lens upon myself. How do I address a stranger at the checkout line? Do I extend the same warmth to custodial staff as I do to my manager? If the answer isn't an unhesitating yes, then self-reflection is warranted. Because Stoicism isn't merely about emotional control or embracing hardship. It's about living with integrity throughout every interaction. As Seneca wisely remarked, wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. If I genuinely wish to understand someone's core character, I shouldn't focus on their treatment of the powerful. I should observe their treatment of the powerless. That is where true character manifests. And that embodies the kind of awareness Stoicism urges cultivating, not just for self-protection against deceit, but for becoming a better, wiser human being myself. Number 4. Distinguish between praise and flattery. Excessive adulation represents one of those insidious hazards often masquerading as kindness. Initially, it doesn't trigger alarms. In fact, it feels pleasant, even reassuring. But Stoic philosophy instructs us against being swayed by superficial emotions. What feels good is not invariably synonymous with what is good. Compliments, when excessive or contextually inappropriate, frequently pertain less to my character and more to another's underlying intentions. And succumbing to it blindly can prove costly. Years ago, I collaborated with a business associate, let's call him Rick. We connected through mutual contacts, both in our late 40s at the time, and he initially impressed as intelligent, articulate, and notably generous with praise. During every meeting, Rick would make remarks such as, "You're the essential element holding this venture together," or, "I'm unsure how you manage everything so effortlessly." He complimented my intuition, leadership style, even my handling of casual client interactions. I wasn't impervious to it. After decades of diligent effort often lacking recognition, those words resonated deeply. I began trusting him more implicitly than warranted. What escaped my notice until too late was that beneath the veneer of compliments, Rick wasn't fulfilling his share of responsibilities. He charmed our clients while I performed the substantial work. He subtly redirected credit towards himself in conversations where I wasn't present, and he quietly maneuvered to seize control of the single deal most critical to both our interests. When the situation unraveled, my predominant feeling wasn't betrayal, but foolishness. Foolish for allowing flattery to obscure the truth. Foolish for disregarding the very principles Stoicism had consistently taught me. Character manifests through actions, not mere words. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone." That quote stung with greater intensity retrospectively, because the warning signs had been present: missed deadlines, ambiguous responses, excessive talk coupled with insufficient action, but I chose to ignore them. I prioritized believing the pleasant words over scrutinizing the factual evidence. That experience taught me that excessive praise isn't always a genuine compliment. Sometimes it serves as a smokescreen. Jealous or opportunistic individuals don't invariably appear hostile. Occasionally, they arrive smiling, proclaiming my brilliance, hoping I'll be too engrossed in the applause to notice the metaphorical blade being sharpened behind my back. So yes, practice kindness, but maintain vigilance. When someone flatters excessively, pause. Listen attentively, observe closely. Ask myself, does this person offer support when no one is watching? Do their actions align consistently with their words? Stoic wisdom encourages remaining grounded, finding peace through internal validation rather than external acclaim. Because when the praise subsides and the truth surfaces, I'll want to be standing on solid ground. Number 5, monitor consistency. Here's an intriguing observation. Studies in behavioral psychology indicate that individuals who consistently behave in accordance with their values, irrespective of the situation, are perceived as more trustworthy and emotionally stable. Not necessarily the most vocal or charming, simply consistent. And millennia prior to these studies, Stoic philosophers were already advocating this very principle. Evaluate a person not by their declarations, but by their actions, particularly when such actions are inconvenient for them. When assessing someone's character, this concept becomes paramount. Stoicism invites quiet observation, looking beyond superficial appearances and examining whether an individual's actions correspond with their words across various life contexts. Because inconsistency is seldom accidental. It forms a pattern, often indicating deeper traits like jealousy, insecurity, or self-interest disguised as virtue. I recall someone I once trusted within a professional context. He consistently spoke about fairness, emphasizing being a team player. However, when a significant client opportunity arose, his demeanor shifted. He transitioned from collaborative to competitive, from supportive to territorial. That transformation wasn't merely ambition, it served as a warning. The man professing loyalty and values couldn't uphold them when the stakes increased. And that inconsistency, though subtle initially, ultimately led to the dissolution of our partnership. This exemplifies what Stoic wisdom prepares us for. Not dramatic betrayals, but the gradual, quiet revelation of someone's true character through repeated behavior. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change." But individuals driven by envy or deceit resist such change. They adapt their persona based on company or need. They offer praise when I am useful, then vanish, or worse, undermine me when I am not. So, how do I protect myself? I observe without rushing to judgment, without making accusations. Simply watch. Pay attention to how someone treats individuals unable to benefit them. Note if their principles waver under pressure. See if they maintain the same values when unobserved. Over time, these observations reveal everything necessary. Consistency in action stands as one of the clearest markers of a sincere, grounded individual. And upon recognizing its rarity, I will cease being surprised when people reveal their true selves. I will simply be prepared. That embodies Stoicism in motion, calm, clear, and perpetually one step ahead of potential turmoil. Number 6. Observe their attitude when criticized. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, once stated, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone." This quotation encapsulates the essence of possessing both wisdom and sincerity. A Stoic perceives criticism not as a personal affront, but as an avenue for growth. When the objective is truth, not ego, not appearances, then correction transforms into a tool, not a threat. However, here lies the uncomfortable reality. Most individuals lack such openness, particularly those motivated by jealousy or insecurity. When faced with criticism, they don't engage in reflection, they retaliate. They deflect accountability, attempt to discredit the critic, or adopt a defensive posture. Their reaction isn't centered on safeguarding truth, it's focused on protecting a fragile self-perception. And frequently, this is precisely where jealousy conceals itself, behind vehement excuses, sharp retorts, or a forced smile masking an unwillingness to evolve. Stoicism teaches that behavior exhibited under pressure reveals an individual's true essence. A person capable of accepting feedback without losing composure demonstrates rooted strength. Conversely, one who erupts, shuts down, or takes offense at the mildest suggestion reveals someone fearful of being perceived too clearly. And this fear often breeds deceit, manipulation, and an incapacity for genuine relationships. So, how can I distinguish between sincere individuals and those harboring jealousy? I observe their handling of correction. Do they reflect and adapt or resist an attack? Do they listen with humility or argue defensively to protect their pride? These moments offer greater insight than any verbal declarations they might make. Simultaneously, I must turn this reflective mirror inward. Ask myself, how do I typically respond to criticism? Do I welcome it as an opportunity for improvement or rush to defend my position? Do I pursue truth even when uncomfortable or merely seek validation? My answers illuminate the extent to which my identity is founded upon genuine self-awareness versus illusion. Within the Stoic tradition, truth is never the adversary. What causes harm isn't being incorrect. It's refusing to acknowledge error. And in a world where pride often resonates louder than wisdom, learning to embrace criticism with calm, honest reflection represents one of the most potent, yet rare forms of self-mastery attainable. Number 7. Attentively notice unintentional comparisons. In daily interactions, I am often subjected to comparisons appearing casual superficially, yet carrying deeper implications. They arrive disguised in innocuous phrases presented as conversation, but they can subtly expose envy, insecurity, and deceit. Stoic philosophy instructs against accepting these moments at face value, urging instead attentive listening with awareness. When someone habitually compares me to others, the focus isn't truly on me. It reflects their internal state. Jealousy seldom declares itself directly. It manifests through subtle comparisons aimed at diminishing my progress just enough to alleviate the other person's feelings of inadequacy. If I've ever shared something I take pride in, a personal accomplishment, a significant breakthrough, even a simple instance of joy, and received a response like, "That's nice, but have you seen what Mark is doing lately?" Then I've experienced it. That wasn't encouragement. It was a veiled attempt to pull me back to a level where they feel more secure. This behavior often originates from individuals unreconciled with their own life path. Constant comparison serves as a defense mechanism, a method of protecting a fragile ego by projecting insecurity onto another. And herein lies the danger. Over time, these subtle criticisms, if internalized, can erode my self-worth. I begin questioning my progress even after diligent effort aligned with my values. This is precisely the tendency Stoicism helps resist. Stoic philosophy teaches that these comparisons constitute external judgments, noise that should never dictate my inner equilibrium. Others' statements, particularly when rooted in jealousy or insecurity, lie outside my control. What remains within my control is my response. And the wise response isn't defense, argument, or retaliation, but remaining grounded in self-knowledge. As Epictetus taught, distinguishing between what belongs to me, my actions, beliefs, and what belongs to others, their opinions, emotions, is crucial. It's valuable to reflect upon who in my life frequently engages in these comparisons. Are they genuinely supportive? Or are they subtly competing, even when no competition exists? Authentic individuals refrain from pitting me against others. They celebrate my growth intrinsically without measuring it against external benchmarks. Ultimately, the Stoic path isn't about remaining unaffected by the world. It's about remaining undisturbed by elements undeserving of disrupting my peace. And nothing merits that less than the superficial opinions of those grappling with their own unaddressed envy. Number 8. Pay attention to their reactions to personal failures. Adversity doesn't build character, it reveals it. This saying, often linked to James Lane Allen, echoes an enduring truth perfectly aligned with Stoic philosophy. When confronted with failure, individuals don't transform into someone entirely new. They manifest the character traits residing beneath the surface all along. I once collaborated with a man who outwardly appeared unshakable, confident, polished, energetic. He was well regarded in meetings, consistently offered appropriate remarks, and carried himself with an air of complete self-assuredness. However, when a major project under his leadership collapsed, a noticeable change occurred. Instead of acknowledging the error, he grew cold. He began attributing blame to junior colleagues, revising timelines, even suggesting others failed to adhere to his vision. He constructed a narrative portraying himself as the misunderstood visionary and everyone else as the source of the problem. It wasn't merely disappointing, it was profoundly revealing. That experience reinforced what Stoicism consistently advocates: failure serves as one of life's most honest reflections. Genuinely strong individuals confront failure with humility. They might not enjoy the experience, few do, but they accept it, reflect upon it, and permit it to shape them into something superior. They don't lash out. They don't conceal themselves behind blame. They accept their responsibility, learn from the experience, and move forward. These are the individuals who command quiet respect, not for perfection, but for authenticity. Conversely, those motivated by jealousy or deceit perceive failure as a direct threat to their ego. Rather than confronting it, they scramble to preserve the illusion of competence. They shift blame, point fingers, rewrite the narrative to cast themselves as victims or heroes, anything but the individual who stumbled. This reaction doesn't originate from strength. It stems from deep-seated insecurity and fear of transparent observation. Stoicism teaches that failure, much like pain or loss, isn't something to evade. It's something to encounter with steadfastness. As Seneca once stated, a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. When someone encounters failure, observe closely. Do they engage in reflection or deflection? Do they learn or conceal? Their response offers greater insight into their character than any success ever could. Take a moment to consider the individuals around me. How do they react when circumstances go awry? More importantly, how do I react? Stoicism calls not only for observing others, but also for holding myself to the same quiet standard. Face failure with courage, accept it with grace, and allow it to fortify, not diminish me. Number 9. Evaluate how they share personal information. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius penned this, and that single line unveils a profound Stoic truth. An individual's mode of thinking, speaking, and conducting themselves ultimately shapes their identity. Observing this in daily life requires no extensive search. Simply listen attentively. The manner in which someone discusses their own life, their triumphs and setbacks, their friendships or enmities, paints a clear picture of the underlying reality. A sincere person often speaks with humility. They avoid inflating achievements or seeking acclaim for minor victories. Instead, they emphasize lessons learned, the ongoing journey, and even acknowledge stumbles along the way. Embellishment becomes unnecessary because truth, to the Stoic mind, inherently possesses rich value. I'll notice that genuinely grounded individuals feel no need to dominate conversations or project intellectual superiority. They maintain honesty regarding their progress because they've reconciled with imperfection. Conversely, deceitful or jealous individuals adopt a markedly different tone. They frequently exaggerate accomplishments, highlighting minor details to appear more capable than reality warrants. However, the most telling aspect emerges when discussing failure, because they seldom do. And when they must, responsibility is never theirs. Blame falls upon the team, timing, market conditions, weather, anything except their own choices. This deflection serves as a potent indicator of insecurity. Stoicism teaches that acknowledging failures isn't weakness. It signifies strength. Accepting responsibility even quietly affirms inner resilience. Furthermore, beware of how they discuss others. Someone constantly divulging private information, engaging in gossip, or subtly denigrating people often reveals more about their own internal struggles than about others' flaws. Jealousy, left unaddressed, corrodes an individual's mind and manifests through their words. It frequently appears in comparisons, unwarranted criticisms, or quiet satisfaction derived from others' misfortune. Such speech isn't merely unkind, it's toxic. The Stoic approach isn't reacting with anger or judgment, but observing and safeguarding personal peace. I cannot control others' utterances, but I can choose the extent to which their words occupy space within my life. Learn to listen not merely to the content stated, but to the character revealed. That is how I shield my soul from being tainted by another's negativity. Number 10. Listen to your inner voice. Here's an intriguing fact. Neuroscientists posit that our visceral reactions, often termed intuition, originate from the brain's capacity to rapidly process subtle environmental cues, even preceding conscious awareness. This implies that the uneasy sensation sometimes experienced around someone isn't irrational. It's my subconscious detecting inconsistencies in behavior, tone, or body language. And within the framework of Stoic philosophy, this instinct isn't something to disregard. It functions as a tool, aiding in maintaining awareness and alignment with reality. Have I ever found myself feeling inexplicably uncomfortable around someone consistently appearing friendly, helpful, even generous, superficially? No overt harsh words, no obvious offense, just a persistent feeling that something doesn't align. That dissonance between observed actions and internal feeling isn't paranoia. It's my internal compass recognizing a lack of congruence between words and deeds. Stoicism instructs us to observe reality objectively, not as it presents itself. And this includes interpreting the subtext of social interactions. Individuals motivated by jealousy or deceit rarely operate overtly. They frequently adopt masks of concern, support, even admiration. But beneath the surface, their behavior is often laced with subtle competition, insincere compliments, unnecessary comparisons, and passive criticisms. These contradictions aren't always conspicuous, but they leave a trail of emotional confusion. My intuition during those moments becomes my primary line of defense, a quiet signal urging, pay attention. Stoic philosophy advocates balance. While instructed to live by reason, we are also reminded to remain vigilant. The objective isn't leaping to conclusions or fostering pervasive distrust. It involves observing patterns, posing questions, and aligning perception with actuality. If someone's presence repeatedly induces discomfort, even lacking obvious transgression, it warrants examination. Ask myself whether their words genuinely match their intentions. Consider whether their presence enhances me or gradually depletes me. The Stoic approach isn't reacting with anger or judgment, but observing and safeguarding personal peace. I cannot control others' statements, but I can choose the extent to which their words impact my life. Learn to listen not just to spoken content, but to revealed character. That is how I protect my soul from being colored by another's venom. So what did we learn today? That envy doesn't always present itself menacingly, and deception doesn't always arrive shouting. Sometimes they appear disguised as compliments, concern, or even friendship. But now I possess greater insight. Guided by Stoic wisdom, I have the tools to penetrate ambiguity, identify insincerity, and protect my peace like the composed warrior I aspire to be. Listen, life is brief, and my energy holds immense value. I mustn't squander it on individuals offering superficial smiles while secretly hoping for my failure. I choose relationships that nurture my spirit, not those that leave it barren. And the optimal aspect? Direct conflict isn't necessary. Simple observation suffices. If this video proved helpful, do me a favor. Click like, select the subscribe option, and activate the notification bell to ensure receipt of the next installment of Stoic Clarity. Share this with someone dear. Because, let's be honest, we all know someone who could benefit from this message. And here's my challenge. Implement just one of the 10 methods explored today. Then return and comment, I did it. I'll be right here, offering encouragement. Stay strong, stay wise, and let Stoicism illuminate the path.